Wild Child, costumed by Julia Caston, follows Poppy Moore, a 16-year-old played by Julia Roberts. She's a wealthy and free-spirited teenager who has everything her unlimited credit cards can buy, and a spoilt attitude to match. Her frustrated father sends her to boarding school in England after a final thoughtless prank. Poppy is confronted by a strict headmistress and a class of girls who do not tolerate her selfishness, leading her to eventually realise the true meaning of life and friendship. Poppy Moore is the main protagonist in Wild Child and is initially portrayed as a stereotypical rich American girl who is spoilt, rude, narcissistic, and a big troublemaker. As the story unfolds, it is hinted that she is still insecure and has yet to recover from her mother's death. She alters her physical appearance, and as a result, she becomes more kind and sweet to others, particularly her family and friends. In this video, I'll be analysing Poppy's outfits and how they depict her transformation in the film, notably how her personality and behaviour alter with the change in her look and clothing. Poppy starts the film in Los Angeles. Her outfits are very much in line with this, as they are bright and weather appropriate. Poppy is wearing high heels and a necklace with her own name engraved in it, indicating to the audience right away that she is wealthy and of status. Her bleach blonde hair complements her LA surroundings and the people around her, matching the sunny and beachy setting. Poppy's house exemplifies her privilege and potent lifestyle. They have a large house with an infinity pool that screams wealthy. We see Poppy's life from the beginning of the film, which makes the transition to England so stark.
Not those shoes. They don't do rain. Just take them.
She gives her shoes to her friend Ruby, demonstrating how unattached she is to her possessions, because she knows she can replace them. She is still under the false protection of her father and his home. We can also see that Poppy doesn't have any true friends here. Ruby is a shallow and a mean-spirited girl.
Dude, who loves ya? Everything's gonna suck without you.
Similar to Poppy initially, who has a spoiled attitude, but unlike Poppy, she is completely disloyal and unfaithful.
You have no idea what it's like here. Ew! Who is she?
As she clearly only cares about Poppy's money rather than herself as a person. Ruby is only there to take advantage of Poppy's wealth, and Poppy's sister Molly sees right through this. But Poppy is blinded, perhaps by grief and a desire to be accepted. When we first encounter Poppy in England, she doesn't seem to fit in. Among the grey skies and green hills, she stands out and looks unusual. She appears to be dressed for the beach in blue, white and pink.
Wow.
When we see her outfit arriving to the school, we get a full view of it, implying that they want us to notice how out of place and glamorous she appears in comparison to her surroundings. The sounds of her jewellery are amplified and the music changes, drawing our attention to how much she accessorises and how lavish she appears, rubbing it in our faces how wealthy and spoilt she is. Her ensemble appears impractical, with heels that will sink into wet grass and sunglasses on a rainy day, demonstrating that she does not belong in England and is still dressed for Los Angeles. Her sunglasses conceal her and almost act as a protective layer, indicating that she is uninterested in being there and that she is superior to everyone else, emphasising how self-centred she is. Her outfit is completed with a Louis Vuitton bag as an added "I'm richer than you" detail. When Poppy meets her big sister, Kate, she is rude and dismissive. Kate and the other girls, Kiki, Josie and Drippy, are fed up with Poppy's attitude from the start and regularly call her out. But Kate ends up being the person who gets through to Poppy by her acts of kindness. And she was also the person who came up with the idea to help Poppy get expelled from Abbey Mount. All of Poppy's clothes and belongings are ruined when she leaves her suitcase outside. It's almost as if her old life is dying and being destroyed.
No. Not the new season Gucci. No. The shoes. No.
But notice how distressed and attached she is to her possessions now. As opposed to when she was in Los Angeles, she gave her friend her shoes without hesitation. But now that everything is uncertain and everything she owns is ruined, with no way to replace them, she is devastated. Her father is no longer there as a safety net, and everything she knows was in that suitcase, which has now been damaged.
Why? What? I might get thirsty. You know, in the UK we have this amazing thing. It's called a tap.
The way Poppy has packed her suitcase also demonstrates how unaware she is. as she brought water with her all the way to England rather than using the space for something else. She's oblivious that there are any other methods than the ones she knows, which shows how sheltered she has been. She also assumes that someone else will do her laundry, reflecting the lifestyle she's been under. But in reality, she probably now has to do the laundry herself. When Poppy first puts her school uniform on, she adjusts it to fit her style. She is noticeable in the crowd and appears to be out of place. She's altering her clothes based on what she knows from LA. Short skirts, jewellery and high heels. Her modified uniform flatters her and distinguishes her from the others, so it's no surprise when the matron brings her the correct uniform. Poppy's laid-back PJs look very summery, and I can't help but feel cold for her, especially since all the other girls are dressed in hoodies and joggers. Her clothes still reflect the hot weather in her home country, but she has yet to adjust to the cold weather in England. When she plays lacrosse, she wears pink dice hairbands in low pigtails to dress up her sports uniform, adding her feminine and girly touches to a standard uniform. Her lacrosse stick is also pink, emphasising how she wants to stand out from the crowd. Poppy's low points show her dishevelled and usually wet, indicating that she is a mess and not as put together as she likes to present herself. Her uniform is untucked and she has relaxed a little, reflecting her current low mood. This is when we start to see Poppy open up to Kate and start to reveal more of herself and more of her insecurities. One thing I noticed about Poppy's hair in LA was that it was always on point and looked very put together, whereas in England it always seems to be a little fluffy. This could be because of the weather change. England is very wet, so the air is very moist, so it could be tampering with her hair in ways she isn't used to. This is what happens to me when I travel to places that are hotter and drier than England. What works for hair in one location may not work in another. This emphasises how out of depth Poppy is, and how much she still needs to learn in order to fully adapt to England. When the girls all go out to town, Poppy is dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, which would be perfectly fine and appropriate to wear in LA, but when compared to everyone else's weather appropriate, more conservative English outfits, Poppy looks scandalous. This explains why the matron demands she changes. So Harriet, Poppy's enemy, whose outfits I've analysed in another video if you want to go check that out, pulls out such an iconic jumper, the yellow jumper with an image of a dog. The jumper is completely out of character for Poppy and it's unlike anything she's worn. This marks the beginning of her transformation. Again, she is in heels, which you can see her struggling to walk in the wet ground. But at least they're wedges, paired with a huge zebra print bag.
So let's go to Oxford Street. I take it you flunked geography too. Oxford Street is in London, my friend.
Poppy expects to find Oxford Street around the corner, and is disappointed to discover that the only shopping option is a charity shop. Her disgust is obvious at first, but when she gets into it and enjoys it with the other girls, she clearly becomes more enthusiastic.
If we could just call this stuff vintage and add like 3 zeros to the price tag, I could totally get into it.
When she puts on the big coat as part of her final charity shop outfit, it's the first time we see her in something more English weather appropriate. And it appears to be something Los Angeles Poppy could wear, as it is still very extra and glamorous.
Malibu moment. Remember what I taught you guys? Who are we?
Poppy's transformation and change is symbolised by the fact she dyes her hair from blonde to brown. She bids farewell to the past and hello to the future. Her hair now also matches her current English environment.
You look so English.
The darker tone doesn't feel too bright in the weather and is more natural as her eyes and brows are brown. She now also feels closer to her mum as she looks almost identical to her. Poppy begins to wear very different outfits as soon as her hair is changed. This could also be because she was able to buy some warmer items in the charity shop, as you never know what you're going to be wearing when you move somewhere or go on holiday to a place with a different weather than you're used to. Poppy wears red in her dance outfit, with red lips, hoops, heels and the trim of her dress. It's a colour we haven't seen Poppy in before, so this also shows her transformation. The colour contrasts and complements her darker hair. Not only is she adapting to a new country, but she is also changing her personality as she begins to appreciate the people around her and gradually changes her behaviour. She's showing a lot more skin than some of her friends, which isn't surprising given that she's used to wearing less coverage in hotter LA. and is therefore more comfortable with more of her skin showing. Poppy now begins to blend in with her surroundings. When she wears both her sports uniform and her regular uniform, she is no longer seeking attention or validation, which also represents her newfound acceptance from her friends and the people around her. When Poppy goes on a date with Freddie, her outfit is adorable. She's dressed down in jeans and a cute top with cute bow sleeve straps. She's accessorized lightly with her poppy necklace and a bracelet, which is less than we've seen her in previous outfits. So she's really embraced the adage, less is more. She now has a black coat to keep her warm, which is unfortunate because it covers her top, but that's always a problem in a cold country. She begins the date in heels and then switches to wellies, revealing a much more practical Poppy than we've seen before. Her hoops, on the other hand, remind us that she is still herself and hasn't completely changed. Also, I noticed for the first time in this scene that a piece of blonde hair is still present. Perhaps this is an indication that a part of her will always belong to LA, but England has changed her attitude and personality for the better. Her PJs have also evolved into something more appropriate for England, being long-sleeved and warm, showing a much more cozy and comfortable Poppy. But at the end, we still see that Poppy fits in with LA, in a clip where Freddie and the girls are with her on holiday, implying that she changed for the better and became a more natural version of herself. She is still the girl from LA, but she has improved and become more likeable and found her true friends. Poppy's overall style reflects the evolution of her fashion in response to adapting to a different country, as well as her personality change. She begins the film fitting in with LA and being very stubborn when she moves to England to change anything she knows from LA. She doesn't fit in and tries to stand out at all times, desperately wanting to leave the dreary school. She tries everything she can to return to her old life, but once she changes her hair and feels closer to her mother, she begins to change her fashion. Her shift of style mirrors her changing mindset, as she becomes closer and more appreciated by those around her and what they've done for her. She becomes less concerned with drawing attention to herself and more involved with her friends and lacrosse. She adapts to the English weather and begins to dress in more practical clothing. She alters her appearance while retaining elements such as her jewellery from her LA self. I hope you guys enjoyed that analysis. Be sure to like if you did and subscribe. Bye!